Oscar buzz is swirling right around with several movies, including the stars that we hear from today in our Hollywood happenings.
As always, Jim Ferguson got to sit down with them. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Our Hollywood happening today looks at the drama Jackie, starring Natalie Portman. The film places us in her world during the days immediately following her husband's assassination. In all the research that you had to do, and I'm sure you did a lot, was there anything about Jacqueline Kennedy that surprised you? That most people don't know, maybe?
There was so much. I think I hadn't really considered Jackie Kennedy as a person before. I think I just saw her as an icon, as a thing, as a symbol almost. And to get to consider her humanity, there was so much, I didn't consider the moment after the assassination that she had to be in the car on the way to the hospital for 7 minutes. I didn't think about the moment that she had to tell her children what had happened. I didn't think about the moment she had to decide whether they're gonna walk in the streets after having such a terrifying thing happen in public, to have a procession in the funeral, or have, bulletproof glass cars, to get them there. So I didn't consider all those details, and it was amazing to think about all those specific moments.
And the film does capture all the details, right from wardrobe to everything about it. People are curious, was there such an interview, or was it a combination of many interviews that she did right after the assassination?
Well, there were, the reporter in the film is sort of based on 3 different journalists that she did interviews with after. She did one with White for Life magazine, and that's sort of the most clear connection, because that was really the week after, and it was when she anointed themselves as Camelot, which is covered in the film.
Camelot, of course, came to an end, and almost an end to her faith. Would you agree with that? She did wonderful scenes with John Hurt that plays her priest. I thought those were wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's documentation that she consulted with a priest and questioned her faith, questioned God, as I think many people who experience tragedy, especially violent and unjust tragedy.
I remember my dad telling my mom that he and his friends were driving to the funeral from Chicago.
Wow.
At the south side of Chicago. And so it was in our household, the grief was tremendous.
Yes.
She had to grieve with the nation and the world,
right.
Really.
Absolutely.
And I can't imagine it. I just can't fathom what she had to go through.
Yes, it's really remarkable, because she recognized that she had a private grief, but that it was shared by a public grief, and that, she couldn't be selfish about just wallowing in her private moment. She also had to create something that symbolically would help the nation heal, and she really created this very symbolic and ritual, funeral procession, and the grace with which she held herself, I think, allowed everyone in the country to feel that they would have to move on too, if she could, who was clearly suffering more than anyone, then they would have to also.
Well, it's somewhat difficult writing this review without getting a little emotional, because Jackie is an intimate portrait of one of the most tragic moments in American history. Natalie Portman should win several awards. It's rated R, my grade, a solid A. Well, Manchester by the Sea is the story of Lee Chandler, played by Casey Affleck, a quiet Boston janitor who returns home after the sudden death of his older brother and is made guardian of his teenage nephew, played by Lucas Hedges. Plus, he must deal with his ex-wife, played by Michelle Williams. Michelle, would you agree with me that there's a lot of layers to this movie? And this is a difficult interview, because it's like talking about a mystery movie. I don't want to give it away. Do you know what I mean? You do know what I mean. But will you agree there are a lot of layers to the film?
I think that's one of the things that always comes through in Kenny's writing, though, and it's so subtle. It's happening without it being sort of you're not being hit over the head by it. It's sort of happening, and then you're aware of it. You're not aware of it until like it's sort of overwhelmed you, like how complex the story is and how complex the characters are.
Yeah, I saw love, anger, tenderness, humor. I thought the flashbacks, Casey, were very necessary, like looking at old family photos. Do you know what I mean? It takes you back. It really brings the story together. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, like Michelle said, it's so cleverly put together. Not clever in a kind of superficial way, but very smartly sort of told so that the flashbacks complement what's happening in the sort of present narrative in a way that they aren't giving a specific bit of information, but they're just sort of, as you said, sort of sharing, like they're like looking for a family album. There's this memory and there's that memory, and you aren't sure what it all adds up to until the end, when it seems to be very meaningful and moving, and you're sort of left still kind of puzzling it all together, the memories and the things you've seen unfold.
It is beautifully done. Well, Manchester by the Sea received early Oscar buzz because it captures the lives and language of New Englanders. It's a film that will stay with people because it's totally character-driven. Casey Affleck deserves an Oscar nomination and a special mention to young Lucas Hedges, who plays the nephew. It's rated R, my grade, another A. I'll see you right here next Tuesday in the Morning Blend with Annette Bening, star of Rules Don't Apply.